this is a good way to bottom line it. Everybody has an ego, right? Everybody's got one. EGO, everybody's got one. Everyone has an ego. The way to become self-aware is if you think you're the best at something, it's quite possible that you are. But tomorrow, you might not be. All right. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Growth Show. Jeff J. Cunningham and I are talking today about one of the most important topics that I think everyone should be talking about, and that topic is ego. We're talking all things ego, the good, the bad, and the in-between when it comes to ego. So, Jeff, what's going on today?
Not a whole lot. I bought a little XRP at 29 cents a share. I think it's going to be a big thing going forward. So, Bitcoin, go buy XRP.
Heard. Okay. All right. Awesome. And what did you just share to me before you said you were talking about XRP? You said maybe it's my ego. What did you say?
So I said, and that's part of the reason why I started out. I said, because I started asking, I said, it's my ego to say before it goes big and people make money, because I want to be known as people make more money because of me. It's like an ego marketing thing. It'll bring more people that I can personally help. That's why I wanted to say it, because the ego, like, hey, I called it back on the Growth Show at 10:21 at night on 8/9/2020, and now it's the new Bitcoin traded by the federal government when everybody's waiting for stimulus checks, and Jeff the entrepreneur had it way before I did.
Awesome. Okay, so let's get right into that. So we are talking ego. So I think this is a huge thing to talk about, and this is really therapeutic to talk about for me, because ego is one of the things that for the longest time I pretended that I did not have. So what that means is I ignored my egotistical problems. I'm going to get into that, one of the pitfalls that you possibly can get when you talk about ego. But let's look at the definition of ego. So ego, the definition is a person's sense of self-esteem or self-importance. And then the psychoanalysis is the part of the mind that mediates between the conscious and the unconscious and is responsible for reality testing and a sense of personal identity. That's a really good explanation for it.
I usually like when Sari says it better, because Sari has the whole voice on it, you know?
I'm sorry I wasn't Sari. You could have asked.
It's good. So basically, sum it up, what does it mean? A sense of someone's worth?
A person's sense of self-esteem or self-importance. So let's talk about this first things first. Jeff, do you think ego is good or bad? Or do you think, what do you think?
I think it's good, man. I think it's necessary. I think everybody has one. And I'll say this. I think it's better to have, and fortunately, although you might not be the most liked, it's better to have a bigger ego than no ego where you're not confident, because I think it actually does more harm than good. And we'll talk about that as we get into it later on. I'll bring up a story that'll exemplify that.
Right, exactly. So I think, so when we talk about ego, I've heard the two different sayings. Ego stands for either edging God out, EGO, or EGO, everybody's got one. And I think sometimes if we're talking about ego, whether it's good or it's bad, we put, like, when you hear ego, I think you have the negative connotation towards it, like, oh, ego, meaning you're inflating your sense of self-worth. So I think ego is a very healthy thing to have, and I think it's something that you need to have, but I think it's something that you necessarily need to keep in check, and I'll explain the reasons why in a moment. But I think, what do you think are the downfalls, Jeff, of having a high or a big ego? What do you think of the downfalls?
So I usually go always positives first, and I've always trained my brain to do this because once you look for like the first, start finding the negatives in everything, right? So that's one thing I coach people to do. Always look to the positives and always try and find as many positives before you go to the negatives. But we can talk negatives first and tease the positives for like a marketing standpoint. Want to do it that way?
So this is the reason why, if you listen to what I said people usually have a negative connotation when it comes to the word ego, right? When somebody says the word ego, it says negative. Somebody triggers like, hey, this could be a negative type of thing. So that's why I brought up, most people think it's negative. So what do you think are the negative implications of having a high ego? We can talk about the positive ones too as well.
One person, this is it, and I'll say it very simply. The one person I think of the negative is Terrell Owens. Terrell Owens, great football player, very energetic, very charismatic, very happy, it would seem. And it turned out that he almost was going to commit suicide. And hopefully he hasn't now. I think he's still alive and stuff.
Right.
It wasn't the concussions like Junior Seau or anything. It was because of his ego. And really what he did is everybody loves me, everybody's got me. And because he was so talented, he talked himself up so well that he performed better because of that. But as soon as he took football out of his life and he was unimportant, that everybody loves me was not true. I have the volume too long again. It was not true. So then that it almost makes him, this is the dangerous side of ego. You don't talk yourself into lies, which Terrell Owens did about, not that he wasn't a great wide receiver, he probably was one of the best ones. Because he had a big ego, he might never be in the Hall of Fame because some idiot writers make the whole rules on who gets in the Hall of Fame. It's all stupid in football anyway. They didn't like him because of his ego, right? But he ignored that, right? The other side of it would be Jerry Rice, some guy who worked really hard, played right with Terrell Owens and had a healthier ego, right? And worked really hard. They both worked hard. But yeah, I mean, so the thing is like, you lie to yourself so much that as soon as you wake up and realize the truth, those are the people who are happy one day and then they kill themselves. Feel like, I don't know. A lot of it is because of the lying ego. That's the really dark side of it.
I would agree. Yeah, definitely, because it has the inflated sense of self-worth because you always think that you are at this type of level all the time with everything, no matter what. And I think one of the worst things, the negative things about having a high ego is the limiting aspect towards growth. And what that means is like, hey, I'm the best at everything, so I don't need to grow in anything. And I think a lot of times what happens is when people think they're the best at everything, it's a cop-out automatically. They don't need to grow at anything because they're the best at everything. And what happens is in relationships, it can tear down other relationships because somebody's always needing to feed their ego, because what's going to happen inevitably is that person who has a high ego is going to be presented in a circumstance, in a situation where they're not the highest on the hierarchy, but they have to lie to themselves so much that no matter what, they're going to feel a sense of inadequacy. And once they feel that sense of inadequacy, they don't know how to compensate for that. So they're overinflating, they're going overboard, and they're saying, well, I'm the best at this and I don't need to listen to that guy. And they justify other areas where they might need to improve, but they don't need to, where they do need to improve, but they don't even acknowledge it in that sense. So I think one of the worst things about having a high ego is that it prohibits growth. Now, let's go to the positives. What are the positives? I'm going to start off first, because what I think the positives are of having a high ego, or I really want to say a good sense of self-worth, is two things. Number one, you're confident in who you are. And number two, you know who that person is, can always get better. And when you have a high ego when it comes to that, you know, if you can get better, if that's the way you feed your ego, I can always get better, I'm always can get better. It opens the door for growth. It opens the door to say, hey, I can grow in this certain area. I think when you have a high inflated ego, what happens is you're just, obviously, like I said, closing the door to growth, and you're not you're not opening yourself up to more opportunities where you could possibly get better. But having that good sense of self-worth is the point where, hey, I can actually get better at something because I know I'm good at something. So what do you think are positives about having a high sense of self-worth?
Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing, dude. As crazy as it is, I always say this, you're in your own life, you get to pick the people you want up in life with you. When you have a better ego, you think you belong around better people. Like, I'm going to, not to be like controversial here, but Trump, I read his book, How to Get Rich, right?
Right.
And he said he only surrounded himself with people who believed in him and thought and spoke highly of him and everything for like 5 years and everything, right? Now, Trump has a little bit of an unhealthy ego. And he knows it a little bit. He's self-aware of it. He almost jokes at it, right? But that actually, for his self-belief, was actually even better for him to do because it was able to get him to better scenarios. So I do think, like, here's the thing, dude, and we know, we'll go back to some embarrassing stories. I had a huge ego all the time, right? I thought I was the best-looking guy. I thought I could get the hottest girl. As soon as I made up with the List of 40 year, boy, that was the hottest girl. It blew my head up huge, right? She was a cute little number, you know? So that happened, and that blew up my number. I went from, like, love an angel, Aggie, the pastor's daughter, to all of a sudden, wait a minute, if I can get this girl, what other girl can I get? Because I thought she was, like, the hottest girl ever, and she likes me, you know? And I just want to play football back in the day. A crazy story. But anyway, it's funny because the guys, the football guys, asked me not to talk to her, just to accept me play football. I love football so much. I picked football over women, right? But anyway, what that did was it inflated my ego to an unhealthy level. And I think you knew a lot of me growing up with my unhealthy ego, and we could talk about that. But the one thing it did do, and you know this, because I believed in myself so much, even though it was false belief, it was lying to myself, it wasn't self-awareness, it wasn't what I have today. And I can still get better. I notice tendencies. I'm self-aware of, not to sound like Gary Vee, I'm the most self-aware person there is, but I am self-aware where I realize, oh, wow, I'm getting back into that, right? And I do. But I used to talk to, I used to go up to every pretty girl and just talk to her because I felt like, man, who wouldn't want to be with me? And then I used to get insulted and I literally, like a quarterback in football or quarterback, I would forget the bad memories right away. I would forget them,
Right.
and it wouldn't happen, and I would just keep going on. So,
So I think that's almost kind of one of the reasons why they say ignorance is bliss, because if you think that everybody likes you, you're going to be happy all the time, right? I think one of the things that does shortchange that too is, what I really want to talk about is I want to be really vulnerable. Is after mom died and after my bad relationships, I spent a lifetime, I compressed it into reading books and getting better. And I fed myself with so much, as Ty Lopez would say, knowledge. And what happened with that was I found better ways. And this is the one thing that I really want to talk about. So if anybody's listening to this and you're growth minded, pay attention to what I'm about to say here. The more knowledge that you get in life, the more you're able to justify reasons why you do not need to grow in an extremely educated way. And what I mean by that is,
that's so true. That's so
your
true.
pop-outs are so good, man. And what happens is when your knowledge is high, you can explain and justify to yourself such a good way that yourself already knows. Because I know how many times I've lied to myself about not going out of my comfort zone because I can justify it. The thing is if you're really, really educated at it, is you can tell other people the reason why you're not doing it, and they're going to believe it. If you're really, really educated and you're really, you can justify it, you can manipulate the situation so you can stay inside your own box and say, look at me inside my own box. I'm good. This is a great box. This is a great version of how I am. And I did this for years. And one of the things that I did for a very, very long time was I grew to a certain level and I hit that top level. And once I stopped growing, I thought to myself, well, I know everything now. I don't need anything else to not grow. And what happened is when somebody would fight my opinion, I'd be like, no, because I've done this before. I've won here before. And I stopped listening to other people. And what happened was I recently started my own business, or recently we're starting our own business, you and I are. I'm going into an area where I know nothing. And every single day I'm getting my ass kicked. And I know that how I justify the things to myself isn't going to work. I'm not going to get any success if I, educate. My man over here says I'm highly educated. It got over 20 degrees.
Who's this? Is there people in here?
I'm on Instagram Live right now.
Oh, yeah, I'm on Instagram Live. By the way, shout out to Matt Bolicker.
And shout out to TJ. So, guys, if you got any questions about ego, ask them. We might feature them on the show. So, what I've noticed is being highly educated can be great, but it gives you so many ways to justify not growing. And that's what I did. And one of the most embarrassing things of what I've done is thinking, well, I know this, I know that, and I know this. And as soon as I walked into that playing field, I've known, wow, I'm not good at this, So
I think that's, dude, and so I think that's a dangerous part, because then you so know it, you show that you justify everything with the knowledge. Then when you do go out your circumstances, you don't know anything, you've trained habits to then go knowledge. So you go back to where you are to get certainty before you go again, right? So you created a circle. I coach a lot of people like this. And I say, no, don't even worry about like going back. Just keep going and you're going to figure it out. It's like, can I first figure it out? Yeah, dude, Jim Rome says that all the time. The smartest person in the room sometimes won't take the most action. Just go analyze it 20 million different ways. Is that from
I think that might be you. Yes. So, do you remember when you used to say nobody beats the Jeffster?
Yeah.
And you used to sing it?
There we go. We're going to get in the story. Is that? I used to sing, I'm great all around. Remember that?
Yeah, I'm great. Nobody beats Jeffster. And you used to sing that so many times that I hated it so much.
Yeah, I'm a little embarrassed by it right now, to be honest with you.
I'm sorry. You said you were an open book.
No, it's good. No, let's put it all out there. It's good. I do remember it, though.
And I disliked it so much that's the way I represented ego. So I always I never want to appear that way. So I thought to myself, if I'm not singing my praises daily, and if I'm staying humble, remember, I would be like the Eli Manning at football. I would throw a touchdown, and I would just be like, okay, all right. And I would be quiet about it, and I wouldn't go crazy about it. I thought that made me, and this is the ego thing, I thought that made me what? Better. I was like, I'm better. I am better because I don't celebrate. It's the same thing. It's the same thought process.
Dude, I used to say to you and I definitely had an unhealthy ego, 100% with all that stuff and did it. But I will say it compelled me with saying nobody beats the Jeffster and I'm great, dude. That's better self-talk. Believe it or not, that it actually put me in better situations for it. That's what it has. You know what I mean? Because I did that long time.
I get it. I
did say to you the other day, no, Josh, the reason why you had a bad thing was because of me, because I came off the wrong way. I'm fully aware of that,
Right.
That's why. However, I used to point out back in the day, no, you have an ego too, man. You're just saying you're better than me. That's an ego too. You remember I used to do that?
Yeah, and what would I do? I would take my education, I would throw it. Right. And listen, I'm not that educated, people. I'm not. But I would take everything that I learned and I would formulate it in words and just throw it back at you using my ego so I could sound better at the situation.
Jason jumped in here.
Who?
Kate and Jason, Jay's son.
Oh, really? Awesome.
Yeah, do you think, speaking of that really quick, do you think Jay had a big ego?
Yeah, I do, but Jay's sense of self-awareness was heightened like nobody else in the family. You know what I mean? Yeah. He was 10 steps ahead of anybody before.
Nah.
Nah.
Yeah, dude, Caden, how old are you now, Caden? Dude, this is I'm gonna get emotional. We're gonna have Caden, Jason on the Growth Show one time. He's my brother, my wife. This is one of my wives you're looking at right here, my younger brother. Part of some helping him grow the business that he's growing, which I'm very good at business, 100%. If you guys need coaching on any business or guidance, I don't think there's anybody better than me to help you out. All right, that's me speaking with the ego. No, but nobody cares better than more me. You know, like. I mean that in the best way possible. Well, Caden's 12 now. Oh, dude, that's awesome. That's the best age. Caden's one of the coolest kids ever, too. We gotta definitely connect. So I'm glad we're doing more of this to connect with everything. You know.
I agree. So getting back on ego real quick. What do you think? What do you have any stories that you particularly remember where your ego was that you knew, oh, that's my downfall. That's something that hurt me. And I know it. I know it's because of my ego. Now, you said you tend to forget them, so maybe you don't remember it.
No, I used to tend to forget them back then. I kind of remember. No, I do remember them. Yeah, it was really stuff with girls, to be honest. Like, that was a basic thing. You know, I used to think I was the best-looking guy. Why would a girl pick another guy than me, whether it was Mark Sweeney or it was somebody like that, right? And I felt in time they would see that I was the best. They didn't see I was the best. Well, Brian was one of them. Brian, I used to talk to you about it all the time. Brian was the best TA ever, and I wanted to be the best TA ever. It was so stupid, dude. I wanted to be
right.
They were all little ego things, dude. It's funny because the only thing that really matters is what money pays. I remember I made the champions list for something. I was like, good, does it make any money? No. Like, right now, my ego is all about what my bank account is and helping people make money. It's all money tied right now. 100%.
Right.
Switched it. So I'm very unhappy with where I'm at. I was actually just doing money math. But I think with Brian, we'll talk about that one. That one's actually really embarrassing. I used to down talk him because he was good with kids. He was very good. He was a good TA. He was more orderly than me and everything like that. I was a good connector with kids too. I was just good in my own way, you know. I wasn't.
Right.
And I always wanted to the point where Jackie switched for me to be a TA, and then Brian whined like a little baby. So I was like, fine, forget it. And then I went and worked with some teachers that weren't on the level that Jackie was in. But it all worked out too because at the end of the day, man, Jackie likes me and I got the girl. So I guess that's my ego talking there.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, it's part of your personality, and it's something that you should definitely keep because it makes you you. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to I'm reading a comment.
We have all these live chat questions.
DJ, do you mind if
we're going to be doing the Growth Show live? We'll
DJ, let me know if you mind if I read your comment on our show, because I think a lot of people could relate to it, especially the way he ends it.
So here, read it. Read it right now. Or you're reading a little bit.
My downfall was going to the bar, walking in there and thinking I'm the baddest dude ever. Acted like the shit for nothing. I should have focused on relationships. Would have helped me more as a realtor.
Who said that?
TJ.
Is that TJ from the 10X Growth Con guy?
It might be. I think
I know. If it's the TJ guy, he has really nice eyes, dark skin.
I mean, it's not the way I described you, but you go for it.
Dude,
Something you want to tell me?
That's the other thing, man. I know what I noticed ever since I got.
I'm joking. It's a joke, dude. You know it's a joke. So real quick, I remember a pivotal
girls
point.
Can check out other girls. Guys can't say other guys are good looking.
No, and I'm okay with that. I don't want to fight for that, right? So I remember being in a bookstore in my self-growth journey and picking up a book. And because I'm saying this right now, I'm going to go download this book on Audible after the show. There's a book by Ryan Holiday. You've probably heard of it before.
I know.
Called Ego is the Enemy. And this is the crazy thing that I thought. I looked at the book, and this is one of the most egocentric things you could ever think. I said to myself, I don't need that book, right? And I picked it up and was like, I don't need this. And I put it back. Dude, that is one of the most egocentric things you could ever think. Like, I should have been like, hey, man. By even thinking that, I should have been like, whoa.
But here's the thing, Josh. Don't even worry. Listen, here's the thing. Don't even worry about it to the level of, oh, my God, this, that. Now learn about, okay, I'm self-aware now. Now what can I do to get better? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I was thinking about that today, and I'm just like, God, the sheer ego of thinking I don't need a book that says, dude, Kyle says I said the same thing about the book, right? I mean, okay, and I think in defense of how we're thinking this too as well, when you're in self-growth, you're automatically in the mindset of like, obviously ego's a bad thing. So I'm not even going to worry about that. And I'm here trying to fix myself. So I don't need it. Why am I going to waste my time on it? Which is what I'm justifying that by education. But obviously ego was a big deal for me. And really it was a big deal for me. And I don't even know if I could show it. Let's see. Can you see it or no? Right here. I got it. Show a little bit of a bicep right there. Flex, that's all about the ego right there.
Like one of those big guys with all the muscles, you know?
There's a line right here. And I don't know if you guys can see it. It's a little bit discolored right there. So I tore a tendon. I don't know if you guys can see it. I tore a tendon in my arm because of my ego. I thought I could pick up a trash can, thought, I got it. I've been lifting. I can go. I can pick this thing up. And I picked it up and I tore my tendon. The truth is, the story I tell is I was going too fast. We were understaffed and there was way too many pitfalls going on with my job at the moment that I was just going too fast and I didn't even think about it. But the fact of the matter is I knew it was heavy. Something told me before I picked it up, you should go ask for help. And I thought to myself, I don't want to go ask for help. There's two reasons why I didn't want to go ask for help. Number one, I thought I could do it myself. And number two, I was embarrassed to go ask for help. I didn't want to go awkwardly go up to somebody and say, hey, could you help me lift this trash can? I didn't want to do it. And I tore my bicep and obviously walked around like RoboCop for like 10 weeks and I had to sleep with the thing every single week. So that's one of my most embarrassing stories of ego, and the countless stories of. And
let's talk about this though. What's the one time that you realized that your ego hurt you the most?
Hurt me the most?
Yeah, besides physically, like in life.
So,
I can think of one for me.
In relationships, I always wanted to win fights because of my ego. And obviously the relationships weren't there working for a reason because you're fighting. But I wanted to win fights that I did something really messed up. And this is something I'll be very vulnerable about, is if I get to know people and know people well, Jeff, you and I have really good communication skills. When we talk to people one-on-one, we can learn a lot about them, right? We open up a lot to them. They open up a lot to us. But what I used to do, and I'm being vulnerable about this, please don't hate me, because this is bad. What I used to do is I would find out what people's worst fears were, what they're really insecure about, and I would put that in the back of my head and go, okay, if they ever hurt me, I got something. I know what to do. I can really hurt them. And I did it because I was weak. And in relationships, what would happen is I would.
Yeah, dude, I watched Jackie do that too, man.
Listen, I'm not saying everybody does it, but people who do it, they know what the nuclear button is, right? And they press it and say, this is it. We're going back to zero. This is it. This is the end.
Did you ever have that against me? You knew something you could tell me?
No, because I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why it wouldn't work for you. You and I know each other so well, to the point where, like, I don't think we could hurt each other to the point where we've hurt each other so much that there's no point to it, I think. And I don't want to hurt you. I love you. You're my brother. And back when I was younger and I wanted to, that's all. That was my ego. That was my ego 100%, because I wanted to hurt somebody that I loved just because I was hurt, you know? And that, instead of looking at it as a compassionate thing, I was looking at it at the point of where I was like, I just want to hurt them though, because they hurt me so much, instead of taking 2 steps back and saying, but why are they hurting me? Why do I feel hurt? What's going on right now? And,
So do you think? Let me ask you this though, and I'm gonna tell a story in the second part about me saying a claim just recently after I was very self-aware for attention purposes. That sounds very egocentric, and I know a lot of people who don't watch this from Anthony Jacks will talk about me and certain things that I'll say. But what's the most what was I gonna say? What's the most hurtful like what why is it like, what's the detriment to not having a bad ego? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how much could it keep you from, like, what do you think is worse? Is it worse to have a better ego or a worse ego? I almost think you not having a low ego, like, yeah, 100 the dangerous side, you have a full ego, then you wake up, nobody likes you, you kill yourself because you told yourself a lie and you wake up to it. That's totally really, really bad thing, right?
right.
The people who aren't healthy with that and self-worth or self-love and doing love themselves, right? Like, they put on something, they don't feel like they look good or whatever it is, whatever it is, they focus on a lot of insecurities inside, thoughts they tell themselves. Honestly, that's unhealthy. Like, I've had people who have no self-worth where they need mindset coaching. They've been told so many bad things that they don't even have an ego. And I think that's a way more dangerous spot to be.
So this is what I teach in the hierarchy of human development. Shameless plug, by the way. Go and film that.
It'll be on the
end of
August.
August.
That's the premiere of it. On the what? The Speak Up. What's the name of the show?
On the Speak Up show on Amazon Prime. It'll be on
Season 2. Josh Lewis Growth. I'll be inspiring the world to make more money or something. Go ahead.
Yes, exactly. So the hierarchy of human development. I wish I had a share screen. I would share it for you right now, and I'm just going to show the first 2 levels of it. So I learned this.
Good. Good marketing right there.
I learned this, and through really trial and error is really how I learned this. And I learned that when it came to growing a business, you want to grow people, because if you grow your people, you grow your business. Yes, you can have systems, but you need to grow your people so they consistently run the systems, and they can run the systems well. So how do you do that? You need
It's crazy because you're really good at growing people, and I'm really good at building systems. That's why I'm really excited about this.
I know we're meant to work together. So this is, I started looking around and being like, all right, how can I figure out who is adaptable to growth? Who can I actually coach and they're open to it? So this hierarchy of human development is based on growth, and maybe we'll get into it more later on. But there's different levels in the hierarchy, and I'm just gonna draw like a triangle so you can see how.
Do you think it would have been better when you grew up if you had a bigger ego back then?
I'll tell you why. My personal belief is things happen for a reason, and that reason is up to us and how we dedicate the reason behind it. We can make what happened to us and then the story we interpreted. So I can't go back and change this. So the story I'm creating from this is no, because you're the yin, I'm the yang, and now we're switching. Now I'm gonna boost my ego up in the best way possible, so I can help as many people as possible and also grow as much as possible. So what you were talking about is, isn't it better for somebody to talk about themselves better and inflate their ego? And yes, this is what I've noticed. So this is the hierarchy of human development right here, and it says the bottom is insecure. When it comes to growth, if you're looking at growth right here, I wish I could share my screen, but
you could just do a whiteboard, dude. You could share it on a whiteboard here.
Yeah, but I got an iPad, and for some reason I don't have it.
You can write on it. Can't? Oh yeah, it doesn't have the size.
Yeah, for some reason
I gotta get your MacBook Pro fixed. I'm so.
I know. So anyway, so it's growth, and then the bottom it says insecure, and then right above it, the next level is arrogant, and then there's a couple other levels up here, and I'll get into them later on. But so the belief from insecure people is I can't grow. So if you've ever tried to coach somebody who's insecure, the element of growth is, I can't do it. I can't grow. And these are some of the most frustrating people to try and grow because their thinking is so limited. They're in a very, very small box. Now, arrogance, it's right next to insecure because people who are arrogant and have high egos are extremely insecure. They have to inflate themselves. The thing about arrogant people is they can get results and they can get great results. They can get amazing results.
That was Gunner, the guy I used to tell you, the king of closers at JC Tenati. He was and he's like, I know Tony Robbins, I know all that stuff. I know Grant Cardone.
Right, exactly. So the belief for insecure people is I can't grow. And then arrogant people is what? I don't need to grow, dude. I'm the best. I'm the best there is. And what happens is when it comes to growth and when you're trying to grow people, it's extremely, extremely limiting. And arrogant people, mark my words, they can create a sense of results in your company. However, they leave a whirlwind of destruction in their path. They hurt people, they hurt relationships, they hurt systems while they're getting results.
So if you had to hire between one of them, you just don't hire either, right?
No, you don't. Honestly, don't. That's why when I hire people,
time in your life is so valuable. Go get them on a self-growth. Go tell them listen to some books.
Correct. You want to hire them from a competent level up. You don't want to. These suck all your time. Your time is so valuable.
Yeah. So
as a business owner,
and I coach people. I qualify them. If they fall in those two categories, I don't coach them. I'll send them
listen, it's extremely tough. And these people, they need love. I'm not saying they don't need love and they don't need coaching. They all do. And there's different ways to coach them. In mastering management, I explain how you coach every single one. So if you're like, oh man, I hired somebody and I know exactly they're really insecure. How do I coach that person? I explain it all in my mastering management program because there's ways to get people all the way up to the hierarchy. The problem is it causes a lot of I don't want to say a waste of time, but it's a lot of effort for very little return. So as a business owner, it can be very, very frustrating. So listen, ego is a great thing. It can be a great thing. And I think, what does positive self-talk look like to inflate the ego? Let's talk about that for a moment. What do you think is a great way to talk about positive self-talk? And let me bring this up too as well. You and I have always gotten into an argument about this, and let's clear this up right now. You tend to, I would say, lie about things because that was me trying to justify, because I admired you doing it. I'll be openly admitting that. I admire you doing it. However, I always thought
what do you admire me doing? One of my coaching clients is trying to get on here. She's on your live, I guess. Go ahead.
Awesome. So one of the way, we'll send them a link if they want to come in.
I did. But they couldn't get in. The browser didn't support it. It's all.
Yeah, it's all phooey. So one of the things I admire what you did is you would speak things into existence that weren't true, but you would tell people, you were Conor McGregor. However, I thought it was always disingenuous because you would tell people, and I'm using an example, right? You would tell people like, and I'm using a generalized example. Yeah, I'm the CEO of the company, right? When you just started working at the company. And for me, I always thought that was so disingenuous because it was just like, wait a minute, if you're saying that you're a position that you're not, that's a lie. It's a lie. Most of the time when you would do it, you would eventually get to that point. Or if you didn't get to that point, it wasn't that important to you. So it was more of like you were speaking it into existence.
Yeah, I tell everybody, they'd be like, you play quarterback? I'm like, yeah, I'm the starter. I was the backup. I was laughed off. And the guy looked at me that day. I still remember P.F. Chang looked at me and said, you don't have a spot on the quarterback. We need 3 quarterbacks. You're not even fourth. You're not even quarterback. I went to P.F. Chang's that day. I'm working on the thing. I felt like crying. And I go in there. I felt so whatever. I felt like I didn't know how to call quarterback, didn't know how to play. And people asked me, oh, why are you so tired? Because I had all sun and everything. I said, oh, I was at quarterback practice. They said, oh, All right, so I was at football practice. So what's your position? I said, I'm the starting quarterback. And I was not the starting quarterback at all. I was very far from it. They didn't want me on the team there, you know?
Right.
So, and I said it because I wanted to know what it felt like to be that, you know? It was,
Right.
it's not so much like, and I guess it is lying, but like, it's like, I want it so bad that I want to tell the world I'm going to do it because I have faith I was going to do it, you know?
Right.
I did it. I became the starter.
So
for the back of a while though. It wasn't overnight, man. You know, a lot of work.
Yeah, I know. I remember.
And now people message me all the time to be a starter in certain semi-pro teams. It's actually a pretty good feeling, you know. And everybody knew me as a quarterback, dude. It's funny. I've always been good about getting attention, 100%. When I played quarterback in semi-pro team, everybody knew me. I was the backup quarterback. Everybody knew me as Tebow and this, and I marketed myself extremely well. Now I'm in the entrepreneur niche. It's the same thing as well, dude. You know, Tim Story, Grant Cardone, Ty Lopez, you know, all these guys know of me. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of pretty cool.
So let's talk about this. Let's talk about, because I really want to make this valuable to the people who are listening. If we can do one or two things, or maybe even three things of how to increase your ego to the point of, what I mean by that is where it's healthy. It's healthy in the point where you're confident, you can do that positive self-talk, and you get to that point where you know you're good and you know you have value to offer. That if you're in sales, or which everybody's in sales, but if you're in whatever you're doing in life, that you know that you can convey that you have something to offer somebody, instead of just being like, you wouldn't want to buy something from me, would you? Instead of conveying that, how do you convey with certainty of, hey, and get to the point where your ego is healthy and it's good. And then on the flip side of that, after we talk about that, I want to talk about what are the ways that you can keep your ego in check so it doesn't get too elevated. So what do you think? What do you think are good ways to increase your ego?
Yeah, so three ways to increase your ego. Let's say you are at the insecure, or even the arrogance, because I probably fell in that hierarchy of human development. I fell in the arrogance thing. When you knew me, I was very arrogant and everything like that. Kind of like my buddy G Money Garrett right now. He's a crazy ripped body, and he's in the arrogant thing. And I like him. I think he's a really good kid. But a lot of it too is calling people out on it, because when people call stuff on truth and it gets pain, especially with me, it hurts. I know Sylvia, Leslie Sylvia, she called me on stuff on how I don't finish one thought to one thought, and it hurt and all that too, and she did it in a very sweet way. But like, you got to realize that sometimes calling people out on it, it's necessary, just because they're not going to change right in that moment, but it'll start to work with their mind, and they'll change eventually. Everybody changes, or things change around. Change people. I don't believe that's true at all. I believe people can change. You can expect enough truth that will get challenge everything and mark change. You know. And if you didn't believe that, I don't think you'd be an entrepreneur. You couldn't grow people. You couldn't do anything at the level. You wouldn't believe you could change this nation or change the trafficking. Doing something with Tim Ballard now, which is crazy, you know. But
yeah, good job, dude. That's awesome.
Dude, we'll talk about that maybe one day on here too. So I think three things you can do, man. This is the thing. If you're insecure in either level, arrogance or that, is you can do speak out healthy truth of where you're at and where you need to be. And like, even for an insecure person, like what I do with them when I find them and coach them, maybe you can't get to the level, because when you're insecure, you can't make money. And and it's because you feel like you don't, okay? And it's crazy because you're insecure. You don't feel like anybody feels worth in you. It's just they don't compute. So what I make people do is I make them aware of, I don't know why it's wrong. Make them aware of what they've done in their life, what's good, make them repeat it over and over and over again, right? And self-aware of what they're gonna do and speak about what they're gonna do, right? For an arrogant person, what I do, I really just tell them there's a few good videos I have that help me out a lot on ego. I usually send them those. I think that's kind of it. But but what I really do is for an arrogant person, I can connect with them a lot better because I know I used to be there, right? And I'm still there a little bit. I'm very aware of it. I know, like, I'll tell that story now. I don't want to get off the topic. Basically, with an arrogant person, what you want to do is you want to actually inflate their ego. Okay, you want to actually fill their ego and make them feel special. I was selling windows to a dude, big jack guy. He knew all about Marvin Anderson windows. I don't know if I told you the guy. I think I did tell you a thing.
Maybe.
I go and show up. The guy has Porsches. He works in the insurance business. He knew everything about windows. I sit down with his house and wife. He's like, hey, just send me some prices, blah, blah. I inflated his ego. I even said to his wife, man, you're lucky to be with this guy. She's like, oh, my God. I'm like, dude, she even in her news, the ego. That was what I said. I should be careful what I say here, actually, because they might watch this. You know, I'm getting pretty popular. So, but anyway, I think he'll buy the windows because he's a smart guy. And I filled his ego. Because he was a smart guy. He knew a lot about Marvin Anderson windows. All what's already, I'll look at it. I'll see, right? So you got to fill their ego, and then what you got to do is you got to show them something that they discover, and then feed their ego again, like they discover. It could be a self-tip thing. It's a lot harder working with arrogant people than is insecure people. Insecure people,
Oh yeah, it is.
Arrogant people are almost like useless. Like they gotta hit pain before they can change, right? And that's what happened to me, dude. I hit pain before I changed, and that's how I got, which is insane, actually. It was The Rock, man. The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Right. So I think some of the best ways to get somebody up that level to not only feed their ego healthy, to make sure they have a healthy ego. If you're dealing with an insecure person, for me, it's real simple. You make them aware of the accomplishments they've had in their life, kind of like what you talked about, and make them reflect on it. I used to do an exercise where, as I would tell people, all right, write a list of 5 things that you feel really good about in your life. And they'd be like, well, I can't write them down. And then write down things that you don't feel good about in your life. And usually they could get those down. And I said, how'd you feel when you write down the good things? Oh, I felt good. How'd you feel when you write down about the bad things? I feel horrible. What changed? Nothing changed. Whatever they focused on, that's what they focused on. And usually when you can get them to anchor the feeling of like, oh my God, all I'm doing is focusing on what actually happened. And insecure people will tend to be like, yeah, but these things are so big. Well, yeah, these things are big too if you focus on them too as well. So you get them to have small wins. Insecure people, you need to get them to have small wins and just keep on coaching with those small wins and keep on pulling. Hey, oh my God, that was awesome. That's good. Let's get you to another thing.
Dude, it's almost sad, dude, you know?
It is. Yeah, absolutely it is. And it has to stem from the upbringing and everything. And trust me, I know I was very insecure.
That's what, when I said it was almost sad, I used to see it. So I'm so proud to see the man you've grown up to and where you're at. And even now with what you're jumping into, it's necessary. It's time. It's probably overdue, but you definitely, I remember how sad it was. And I was a horrible brother to you, and I apologize for that 1,000 times, dude. That's probably, people always say, oh, no regrets in life. That's one of the regrets I have. I wish I wasn't so arrogant, ego-driven. I wish I looked around, and I wish I knew how to pick you up better. I wish I knew what I knew now then. I think that's what everybody says. And
everybody does that, yeah.
It pains me inside. And that's why, Josh, a lot of people I coach sometimes, best people I coach and clients are people like you that are just so smart, but they can't take the next step, you know? And it's very rewarding because I'm really good at it, dude. I've seen it. And I think when my wake up thing, well, where did your wake up thing come with the ego thing? Where'd that come?
Right. So I'm
did
going
it
to go
just
back
come recently?
Yeah, it's just recently. But I've been flirting with it for the past like 6 months. But I want to go back to really quick. So insecure people, that's how you coach insecure people. And insecure, it's always you're feeding them and giving them small wins, and you give them small tasks to do. It's like, take out the trash. Oh my God, you took out the trash. That's awesome. It's equivalent to that level, really. And you have to keep on building them up so they get a sense of confidence. Because all confidence is a frame of reference, right? We've talked about this before. It's, going towards a task, repeated attempts towards the same task, and then completing that task. And you do it over and over and over again, and your brain goes, check, that feels good. I can do this. I feel confident about that.
Yeah, you remember, I almost threw up before I coached somebody for money. I almost threw up because I wanted him to be well. I was so nervous. Remember I told you that?
I remember,
and
yeah.
Now, dude, when I coach someone and someone like wheels in a deal for $100, I'm now being like, you guys are getting like you should be getting this deal. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's crazy. And then I'm like ready to go.
Well, because you have so many frame of references stacked in your head about how it should go, what you're doing, what value you add, how good it's going to be for the person that hey, it's at this level. If you're coming to meet me up here, I need you to come meet me up here, whether it comes to, payments or whatever it is. And arrogant people is exactly what you said. You got to inflate their ego. But you start off with inflating their ego. Man, you're so good at this. You're so good at that. You're like, oh, yeah. Give it to me. And you talk to them about it, right? And then you shine light on an area that they know they're not good. And you go, hey, you seem to be struggling here. And I know you're awesome. What do you think's getting in your way? And you let them tell you. You don't tell them. You let them tell you. And they go, oh, well, and then they'll tell you the reason why. Okay, all right. So what do you think you need to get better in that? How can I help you? Whatever it is. And then you just showed them an area where they sucked, right? But you had them tell you. You always want to have them tell you. And then you shine the light on it, and then you follow up. Hey, how you doing with this? How you doing with that? And slowly they start to realize, wait a minute. And this is where you get them to become self-aware. And that's the next level. That's confidence. Okay, wait a minute. I'm not so good at everything, right? And then when they start to become good at it, then it's like, oh, okay. And then with arrogant people, it's always, you're always trying to coach them. You're always going back and forth and always whatever it is. And a lot of times, sometimes it's major pain before they go through that. But yeah, that's how I bring people up. That's how I bring people up the hierarchy. Your question was, when did this happen or what made me? Number one was getting in this business. I'm really good in the restaurant industry. I can help people in the restaurant industry. That follow-up game. Really good in the restaurant industry. And this is something that we took a restaurant from 900. And not me, we built a team from 946 and took it within the top 100. And we did it in less than 2 years. And that was me never being a general manager ever, right? I'm good at it. I know how to do it. I know what to do. I know how to coach people. I know how to bring people. I'm really good at it. But when it comes to sales, when it comes to learning the techniques, learning the objections, I'm a fish out of water. I don't know what the hell is going on. And you're very polished when it comes to things like that. So a lot of it was like when I was talking to you on the phone, there was something in the back of my head that said, I got it. And like, I was self-aware to say, this is where I'm going to get a little personal. I was self-aware to be like, you fucking idiot. You don't know any of this right now. What he's doing, he's so way ahead of you. Like, how dare you even think that you could even be at his level right now? And like that, yeah. And that was like, well, yeah, I mean, you're great. You're great.
I was going live, so I didn't know really what you were talking about.
Because
I'm like, man, I'm thinking like it must be Jared, bring her something and that too, of who it is. So
no, listen, we're surrounded by great people. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No, I have something to say. Actually, let me say it right now before I forget. So tonight I was bartending at Anthony Jack's, right, which is waste of time and waste of money. It's therapy away from everything, and I get a chance to network and stuff. So it's not that bad. I make the most of it. Pass out business cards. Love the place. It was dead there tonight. There was Brendan, the back waiter. Brendan, people say his name, young kid, very serious about money. So I coach young kids all the time, and I'm like, listen, just get good with your money. Even if you don't know what you're doing with your life, get really good with money. Because once you figure it out, money will get you there, right? Get money habits still right when you're learning a language. So, and that's what I want to do at Changing Lives Financial. I'm going to start a kids program for that 100%. Like I can't change the education system. The way we run out services and do Zoom and kids are that, I'm going to have a whole service for kids. Like it's going to evolve into everything,
Right.
So as I was explaining to him, IULs and all that, cash floating, stuff like that, I came in, Josh, the cook, was kind of a bully. He's a Mexican cook, was kind of a bully. So he said something like, Brendan, tell a joke. And Brendan's kind of this skinny little kid, right? Where it was kind of like picking on him to tell a joke. So I tell the joke, hey, what do you call fish with 2 knees?
Toonie fish.
A toonie fish, right? And he goes, hey, where do you go for a dumb joke? Where do you want a bad joke from? Yes, Jeff, right? And he was, that joke was better than your joke. And Josh is kind of like that, okay? He's a good, he's a nice guy, really good dude. But he's always kind of like that, and it made me mad. And then I made a joke, a Trump joke to him, and that made him really mad, right? So, so he said, hey, you can't do that. You know, I'm Mexican. I'm, hey, you know. But anyway, my whole point of saying this is then I'm over washing dishes, and he's talking to Brendan, and he said to me, he said, I hear him say, and I've heard people say this, no, Jeff's really smart. He's one of the smartest guys here. Blah, blah, blah. And he goes, you should listen to him. And dude, I just felt like so like humbled. And it's funny because going back years ago, people said that. I just get mad if people didn't realize that. And I wasn't smart, dude. I didn't study everything that I studied that. Dude, I didn't study as much as that. I've just learned by experience a lot. And I've studied. Dude, I've gone to $1,000 courses and learned from a really lot of successful people, you know? And
right.
All the time, dude. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I know XRP and I keep up on the current affairs and stuff, you know? But anyway, but my whole point in saying that is people compliment me. Remember I used to beg for compliments?
All the time. My man used to beg for compliments.
And now
Why do you say I'm the best?
Dude, oh my God. I wanted the best thing. Dude, it was so bad. I wanted it. Dude, I was Terrell Owens, and I knew it, but I didn't know how to solve it, you know? And where I became self-aware, you know what the story when I became self-aware?
Jackie.
Yeah, I was sitting watching some movie with The Rock Johnson. She comes about his body. I was working out, you know, I was talking to her. I actually had pretty good shape. And I was in really good shape. I took off my shirt and sit down next to her. She's like, what's the matter with you? And I said, what do you mean? I said, how am I not better than The Rock, right? It was pretty embarrassing. And then we went out, and I went to Crazy Town. I literally, here's the thing about my brain, dude. I process stuff so extremely fast that I processed in that moment everything, pain, this, that hurt, and I knew I needed to change, and I did it, and I did it outside, shirtless, outside, because I walked out while she was sitting outside our apartment. I still remember it, thinking, holy cow, I'm not the best. And she said to me, Jeff, you're not the best, okay? She goes, but as long as you become the best version of yourself, that's really all that matters. That's all you got to work on. She goes, cool. Right. I'll find that more attractive. And I always thought about that. And now, dude, I just try and be the best. Like, so let me tell a story that I teased at the beginning. I'm at Anthony Jack's. Kayla, I'll say it now because she doesn't work there. Kayla's working there, right? All the guys are around. She's the girl who everybody, like, even Logan, dude, who I used to, like,
are you cutting out?
Always talking about lifeguard with, and I was like, hey, do you think this girl's cute, this, that? So Kayla walks by, and of course he thinks she's cute. I'm like, dude, don't think that girl's cute, right? And the girl has to be cute. So they're all talking, and I wind up saying, and it felt uncomfortable, but I did it for attention. So she's there, and I wind up saying, this is just recently, this is like a couple weeks ago, it was right after the coronavirus. They're talking about like good looks and everything like that. I said, I'm the best looking guy. I said, I hate to say it, but I believe I'm the best looking guy at Anthony Jack's here. And everyone's like, whoa! And she goes to say a comment, and she doesn't, because she knew it would hurt me if she said it, but she like wanted to say something if you do that. And I just said it. I just want to be talked about. Maybe I'm not the best looking guy. I know we said now don't talk about good looking guys and stuff, so we won't. But there's other decent looking dudes there, you know, and they're all flirting with you. But my whole point is, I want to at least be known with it, man. I want people to be like, well, is he? Like, I just want to be the conversation, man, you know? And it was more of the attention thing. I know I'm not, but as long as it's the best version of it and someone does it. And here's another thing, dude. We have a new girl working there, Gaten. I haven't even seen her yet. Everybody's talking about her, right? This is the whole thing. I should talk about this. And there's Meg hires the best people. She's like, man, all the guys are going to be all after this girl, right? And my ego gets in the way of, oh, man, I got to perform. Yeah, it's special. I'm like, no, there's only one girl out there that I really need to impress. It's whoever's my future wife's going to be. I really don't care about being the center of thing, as long as she buys a product from me one day. That's about it, man.
Yeah. So I don't. I think it's funny too, because once you're like really striving to be the best, no matter what the situation is, you inevitably do get better, as long as you're not obsessed with the fact of what other people think. You're just more concerned or focused is a better word with what you're thinking. You know what I mean? Because if you're thinking,
by the way, people say I'm not focused all the time. I'm probably one of the most focused person when I come to something and fixing it. And I don't mean that in any like ego way. I know we're talking about ego, but I could put out cases of what I've done. to focus and fix something and get.
So do you think you could do this? You think you could take this video after we post it and go through it and mark all the times where you knew you were talking about your ego, you were inflating your own ego, you were protecting your ego, could you do that? I'm not saying that, whatever it is, and actually be able to identify all those times. You think you could do that?
Yeah, I'm self-aware of it. I do know that. And here's the thing, dude. Even the fact that I'm wearing the hat because I feel like my hair doesn't look good, that's ego. I feel like I look better with the hat. You know, I feel like I look Daniel Craig-ish, who, well, that's another reference that I won't go into right now. But yeah, but my whole point is, yeah, 100%. Listen, now I feel really bad if I came off like that, you know.
No, what I'm saying is, wow, my live video just ended on Instagram. What I'm saying is we all, dude. One of the great things is self-reflection when it comes to ego, because we all are always, no matter what, we're saying things to protect our ego, to inflate our ego, to support our ego. And when I go back, and I've gone back and I started watching our shows, I'm like, that was me protecting my ego there. That was me inflating my ego there. That was me making myself feel better right there. You know, I literally changed my shirt into a hoodie before this because I like the way this hoodie looks as compared to my own shirt. That's for me, right? I want to make, I get it. You want to make sure you look good and you're presentable at the same time, which is not a bad thing to do. But like going back, and I've watched these shows, I've seen myself protect my ego, inflate my ego, protect my ego the most. That's the thing that I've done the majority of this, which is I don't want to get hurt. So what I've done is I protected it so I won't get hurt. And you know what? It's time for me to get hurt, man. It's time for me to go out there and just like start getting to the point where I can go out there and either it's get rejected or because I didn't like rejection. I don't like rejection.
Dude, who does though? You gotta be a psycho if you like rejection.
Yeah, right. I agree. But here's the point.
When I was arrogant, I would say, "Oh, I love rejection. I love when a girl turns me down. I love that pain and stuff." I never did. It was just me telling myself a lie. I don't like any of that. It means I didn't learn and stuff. You just got to keep going. You know what I mean? Again, and like the more you kind of do, you'll actually. Dude, I got to talk about Jeff Kuna and Jonathan Carefree Home Pros. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Go ahead. I want to.
All right. So I was paralyzed, dude. I was paralyzed by me supporting my ego. I was paralyzed not taking any action because what if I make a phone call and they say, fuck you, and they hang up? Which they're not going to say that. Most of the time, they're not going to say that.
No, but even if they say that, then is it fatal? You know what I mean?
Right. But listen, for somebody who's in my position, if somebody's watching this is my position, the thought is fatal. That's the thing. And I don't think you get that. The thought is the torture chamber. So before it actually happens, so once I've gotten myself into these situations, I'm like, oh, this isn't that bad. It sucks, but it's not that bad. But it's like the hesitation before leaping off the cliff. That's the torture chamber that you live with. So if it sucks and you don't want to go through that hesitation, why even approach the cliff? Just take another path, right? And what is it? It's the path literally of least resistance. So that's what I've done. Yeah, right, exactly. So you go down and you're like, okay, well, you know what? I don't even want to get to that point where I have to hesitate and I have to jump. And I will say this. With this new business, I have felt more times where I felt nervous. I felt that warm feeling in my stomach. I felt like my ego was going to get crushed. I felt like I was going to be more nervous than I've ever been in my whole entire life. And after it, I felt more alive than I've ever felt. So really, it's me just taking that thought process and attaching a feeling of, of growth towards it so I can get to the point where I'm like, this is awesome. I need to go towards this more often. And really, the whole thing was I was more just afraid of getting hurt. And that's me being as honest as,
Can I tell you, Josh, by doing it, I know like maybe because of me and because I was a little bit more arrogant back in the day, and maybe it did there's certain tendencies that made it easier. I was still just as scared. I still am. It's better now because I've done it. But the two things that helped me, and I think this will help anybody, is I would always say to myself, great things happen when you go outside your comfort zones. And that I would always like tell myself that. And then John Paul DeJorio, the guy of Throne Silver that on Choice Mat, said successful people do what unsuccessful people don't want to do. I'm going to go knock on another door, right? I used to go door knocking. It was really tough, dude. I had people swear in my face. I had people say, no, get the F out of here. What are you doing? I've had like, but not a lot of them, most of them cared, but I've had the worst of the worst, like really like some mean, scary people, some drugged out people. It's crazy. I started knocking on all the rich stores then and asking what they were doing. They were actually, a lot of them were a little like, who's this kid? But once I got my pitch down, I learned to tell my story. Dude, it was great. This is why it's funny when I coach people what to do. I've been doing that for probably like, I guess it's 3 years now. Like that's how good I am at it because I did it door to door. You know what I mean? So now it's easier. I'm like, oh, I should have just done this online all the time. It's easier. But like I've had a lot of lot of more practice than I even thought. But those are the two things. Successful people do what they don't want to do. I'm going to go do this. Great things happen when I come out of my comfort zone because I knew I was getting outside my comfort zone. I was scared. When I signed for the real estate investment, there was questions about the basement. I knew there was water coming in, dude, and I really felt sick to my stomach. You know what I mean? So like, I think that's part of being human now. And now it's better. I mean, sick to my stomach because I'm hiring a property manager named Craig. He reminds me of Craig Carr and he knows Grant Cardone. So that's coming.
There you go. That's good. So we've been going about an hour now, so we should wrap up in a few minutes.
Yeah, but this
how
is
do
the
you
best show ever.
Yeah, it always is.
Speaking of something, and I promised Jeff Kuna. You know Jeff Kuna, right?
Yeah.
So that kid is the epitome of a kid who has a healthy ego. He really wants to help people. He knows he's doing well. He asked me, he's like, oh, Jeff, I'll pay you for coaching. Thank you so much for taking my call. He's really so nice, right? And I told him, no, I make Malachi pay me before you. He said, what? And Malachi actually asked me about what video editors got paid because John was paying to do video editing. Malachi's like, what should I ask? And I told that to Jeff. Jeff's like, well, isn't that showing that Malachi doesn't have an ego if Malachi asked you? I was like, yeah, you're right. I actually did think that, right? And it's funny because before I worked for JC Donati, who really has a healthy ego. He has an ego. He did say, hey, you don't have to pay for Grant Cardone anymore. You got me, right? But listen, if I'm a business owner and someone's talking about somebody else, I built this whole business, I feel like, come on.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And
yeah.
Then I just think Grant Cardone's great, but not to the stuff that I need in the window business. Joe Tenati, anytime I have a coaching session with him, my sales go up right after that. He's able, dude, and he always asks, what are you struggling with? What can I help you with? He doesn't go through all my quotes and say, oh, you should have done this, that. Even when I tell him a story, he's so success-minded oriented, he's just interested in results, right? What do you got next? Let's focus next. Dude, I don't think he's even so self-aware of how many success principles he just naturally follows. Oh, that's in the past. Whatever. We burn him. It sucks. I don't want to lose a sale. It makes me mad. We're the best company, right? He has all that stuff, but let's go now. And I literally cherish the time with him. It's really one of the best guys, dude. If anybody wants business consulting coaching, it's $20K. It's probably the best you'd ever get it from. Then Dee Dee Wong also is another person. If you want a female, she does coaching about $20,000. It's worth it. I'm not at that level yet. Eventually, I will be 100%. People are paying me now $350 an hour for coaching session. It just keeps going up as it's supply and demand, right? Which is why people jump to be on this. It's pretty cool, dude. It's actually, here's the thing, dude. You said, what can we do to be self-aware, right? So
right.
Going back to Jeff Kuna, I know I did the whole talking in a million places and drove Leslie Sylvia nuts. But John from Care for Your Home Pros is big in the DISC test. He has a whole financial analyst. He told Jeff Kuna, I want you to go to my financial analyst who he gets a lead from. Justin, who works at Anthony Jackson, was like, yeah, my uncle's a rich asshole. He's like, I never wanted to be rich because they told me to read some books. He's like, Jeff, the way you told me, now I want to read the books. His uncle was John, right? John was the guy, me and him got in a fight, and I thought, I've never worked for you, or whatever the whole thing was. It wasn't really a fight, but it was definitely two egos and me knowing my worth and him being like, the way you are, you're not going to get to where you need to be. Never tell anybody you're an entrepreneur. That's what he told me. And I was like, no, mother effer. I'm going to tell everybody I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm still going to win it. And there's going to be someone who's be lucky to have me, and that's going to be the next guy. And it's funny because he still said to Malachi, JC Tenati, but he's a guy who's built a whole business. I admire what he's done. He's built up huge systems, leads everywhere, knows how to do it, pays his guys well, the whole deal. Built a whole system. I totally learned from him, but his ego makes him unlikable, you know?
Yeah.
And it makes people then eventually not want to work with them eventually. You know, even Barry has a good ego too at Anthony Jacks.
So listen.
And Mike Searock, Ken Jocelyn, who else? Yaya Baclar, all these guys have had ego, and me yourself in a time. And being self-aware, I think, is the best thing. And I see Mike Searock, my man, what have you made of? Where's his hat? He does try and self-aware and check himself all the time. Actually, an interview with him coming on the Make More Money podcast. And then I got to show you another one. I'm going to put up with Joe Coach. His name's Joe Coach. He's the best sales coach ever. And me and him get into it because I challenge him on his ego. And it's probably one of the most uncomfortable interviews on the Make More Money podcast. At least me and Searock were cool. But, like, it's literally the ego. So that's coming up. We're going to put that eventually. He's like, you have to be on my podcast. You want to be – and people pay to be on my podcast. I should have charged him because he was just like, you're going to have to get in line if you don't get me now. And I was just like, all right, dude, like, who the heck are you, man? You know, and then I interviewed him, dude. I was in the middle of, like, doing, like, my coaching curriculum, and I stopped my day to interview him. I have that somewhere. That'll come out later on after we have some big names on there.
Nice. So listen, I think the way to
self-aware.
I think this is a good way to bottom line it. Everybody has an ego, right? Everybody's got one. EGO. Everybody's got one. Everyone has an ego. The way to become self-aware is if you think you're the best at something, it's quite possible that you are. But tomorrow, you might not be. So you always have to be working on yourself to get better. Because the competition is fierce out there. People out there, there's 7.4 billion people on this planet. There are people getting better every single day. And if you're not getting better every single day, if you're telling yourself that you're just, the best at what you are right now, and you're not getting better, they will surpass you. So if you really want to get good, you got to realize what you're not good at. And what you're not good at that point might be realizing that you're not good at something at the moment.
But isn't it true, if you realize what you're not good at, focus on your strengths and, like, higher your weaknesses?
Yeah, I agree. What I mean by that is, let's say you're the best salesman ever, right? There's somebody on this planet
who doesn't exist, though. You know what I mean?
I'm using general tactics. It was a bad example. I'm sorry.
No, but, like, the best of anything doesn't agree. Michael Jordan's still not the best basketball player. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, I know what you're saying. I'm using it as a general. Let's take it away from being literal, right? If you're the best there is. So, yeah, you can have people who are like in the Guinness Book of World Records, right? They are the best that ever is. That's a standard that's set, that human beings have so much power in them that we see a standard that's been set and we naturally want to rise above it. It's just what we do as human beings. So it's the Roger Bannister thing, right? Nobody ran 4-minute miles. Now everybody runs 4-minute miles. People in high school do it every single year. The standard that's set, human beings feel the need to progress as we evolve and grow, as we get better, to set a new standard. So
don't you believe, though, because of that, and that's 100% true, the people who don't grow, the people who've walked there and become stagnant, that's where depression sets in and all the bad stuff comes, because we're born to grow. But people have been told that we're not. And, dude, Patrick and David, did you watch that video I sent you, the top 10 rules?
Some of it, yeah, some of it.
He asked the thing of, hey, how many went to business school? How do you go to business school? I love the way he talks. And they raised their hands. He goes, all right, how many after business school read business books? And, like, half the hands go down. He goes, why? Like, you think you know it all? Like, and that's kind of the thing, dude. A lot of people, Sabrina Cardone, man, which I'm going to post on my YouTube channel. I did videos with all them, and it was really good behind the scenes video stuff. But they were awesome. They talked to me on the phone. Like, dude, there's cool moments. But they're like, they talked about, I'm not going to stop learning. Why should you, right? And I think that's it, man. The secret to your thing is, like, I can always be better. Be content, celebrate the wins quickly, and then just keep going. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and I funny, dude. Like, I was having a big point of getting overwhelmed and scared and depressed. And what I did was I wrote down all my accomplishments. I'm like, wow, I did all this. I'm here. Okay, yeah, maybe my units aren't cash flowing. I got everything. What can I do to solve them? Thanks to like dude Lewis House and that whole team, man. They really help out in like the assistance coaching. Okay, you're here now. Instead of just trying to sell me something, which is fine, you can sell me something to solve like the business thing, or just telling me to focus again. They gave me tactical steps, kind of what I do for coaching. So what they did, they don't hire a property manager, you hire everything, do this, do that, figure out that, sell more, coach more. That's what fulfills you, do that more, I was like, okay, clear. So,
No, dude, that's such a good job. I think a good way to end it is a quote that I just thought of, and I don't know, maybe I'll reflect on it and go, yeah, that wasn't as a good quote as I thought. But I think a good thing to tell yourself every single day is these two phrases. One, life is good because I am good, right? That's self-love. And then the second part to that is life will then be better when I get better. So that's saying, hey, life's good because I'm good, but also life can be better once I get better. And if you're consistently telling yourself every single day, it's self-love, but it's also saying I can get to the next level too as well. Self-love is really important.
I think perspective too, dude. Like, I'm not sounding like Gary Vee here, but perspective of the fact that you wake up, dude.
Sorry.
The fact that we're 6 feet above the ground and we have a chance to become the best that we can. We're given the gift of life. You know what I mean? I'm not going to get Gary Vee and the molecules and chances to be here, but we're given the gift of life. Let's go do something about it, man. You're gonna die. People are dying every day. You have this gift of life. Go inspire someone. Go make somebody better. You know what I mean? Like, don't worry. Stop worrying about yourself, and go worry about like how you can help yourself just to help other people. Like, have that as an end goal. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
that's a good point, because like
and
the way
when I get down to the 7 whys, what Dean does in coaching and stuff, it's always, dude, it always comes down to someone wants to help somebody. Anytime, dude. Even John from Carefree or Preserving Ego, he still wants to be a mentor in a coaching thing, right? JC Tanati loves helping me, right? You love helping me. I love coaching. Like, it's a thing. Unless you're evil and everything like that, I think generally people want to help people, and I think generally people care. I really do believe that,
Yeah, I agree with you, and I'm definitely opening myself up to that belief a lot more often. People care is the belief that I'm adopting, and I need to help people are the two beliefs that I'm adopting.
Instead of I need to help people, maybe like by me being in their life, they're better. You know what I mean? Like, just be so. It's almost like, and I guess maybe this is an ego thing, and maybe I should be careful about this because now I'm being self-aware, right? But like I literally believe, dude, like where I get energy off people. Like I when I was quarantined in here and I was making money online, it was cool. But like Bank of America, I want to switch to bank because I can't see people. You know what I mean? And I feel like every person I meet, like I went out in the marketplace, I was late for work today because I was inspiring someone at a gas station. Like, I wish there was cameras around me. So I am like evangelical. I think the world's ending. I really do. I think the Lord's gonna come back. Like, full disclosure, right? And I'm on a time ticket to help inspire, change, and make. I'm gonna end sex trafficking. I'm gonna do whatever it takes. I'm gonna solve the black and white problem. I'm gonna make a hell of a lot of money. I'm gonna make a multi-million thing, and I'm gonna help a lot of people make more money around it. And I'm not gonna stop every single day. It's gonna have that stuff in it. I'm surrounding my people with people of that. And yeah, dude, I just feel like I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission, and I feel like anybody a part of this will be very beneficial for it. You know what I mean? And
so one thing I think I should do, and I should do this more often because I don't do this. I don't tell you what my goals are. I don't tell you what my vision is. You talk about them all the time.
Right.
What I know I've been born to do, and what I know what I want to do more than anything else is help people and become massively successful doing it. And then when people ask me, how'd you get all this? How'd you get all this money? How'd you get all this? Say, this is how you do it. And tell them how you do it. And tell them that they can do it. And tell them you can do exactly what I did too, because where I came from. And I want to do that so much because I remember the feeling of feeling broken, more broken than I've ever felt after mom died. And then leaving a movie theater. That was the thing, dude. Leaving a movie theater and feeling okay about life. You, Christy, and I went and saw a movie, and I don't really remember what it was, but the movie inspired me, and I thought to myself,
The Count of Monte Cristo?
I don't know what movie it was. I just remember leaving. It might have been that. I don't know what it was, but I was like, it was when you Christy and I used to go see movies after mom died, and I felt so I felt so good. I was like, I realized I have hope now. I didn't have hope. We didn't have hope after mom died. I didn't have hope.
My hope was on Angel Agee, dude. That was that.
Right. So I never had hope. You know, you had your hope. Christy had whatever she had, but I didn't have it. And then when I left, I went, I feel like I can live now. I feel like there's a good reason to live. And I was like, this feels really good. I want to make other people feel this way. And that's it.
Listen to the lyrics by NF Therapy Session?
I haven't listened to it yet.
Anybody else, maybe we'll put the link in the bio or something, or DM me, I'll send it to you. It's really good because it talks about a lot of the feelings. Like, even though maybe I had hope stuff, dude, I was definitely, after Jay died, suicidal. I didn't want to live. After mom died, there was points when I didn't want to live too. Like, I think that's normal though. You know what I mean? Like,
I agree. I think it is too.
It's normal. It's normal to think, what can I do? So anybody who's lost somebody, or even like someone just lost their horse, they were texting me or DMing me about, grieving is normal. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to not want to continue. You know, no matter what, man, you could have the Lord and have Jesus or not. You know, we saw what it did to Dad too. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I the only reason why I say that is because where you came from, Josh, like NF reminds me, he raps about stuff. We listen to Therapy Session and maybe call me afterwards because I want to talk about it because it reminded me where you were at. Like, you could have wrote the song, right? And the way you used to listen to Linkin Park and all that music and stuff too, it was therapy for you. You know what I mean? Because like nobody got you. Like, nobody understood you. I didn't even understand you. You know what I mean?
I was pissed off. I was angry. I was hurt. I was frustrated. Nobody would listen to me. You were in your own world. Life was going great for you because you said life was going great for you.
Yeah, and it wasn't, dude. I was lying to myself. Life was really not great.
I get it. Trust me. I was living there. Life sucked. We had bugs flying at us in a bad. Yeah, trust me. I get it.
But my whole thing was, if I had the perspective it was great, it would be great. Like, I always got that. That's why the law of attraction, we got to talk about one time. Because I'm living proof of the law of attraction. Like, dude, I'm telling everybody I'm buying a 37 unit next year. I don't know which one. I'm going to buy one. And I already know how I'm going to structure. I already have people investing in it. That Zachary kid wants to go on the deal with me. Juan, the guy who we brought to the BPM, he wants to go on it with me. So I already have access to all this money, just like that, dude, by Grant Cardone, by crowdfunding. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. Dude, you're doing great, man. I appreciate everything that you're teaching me. I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you for opening my eyes to the things that I need to grow in.
You did it first, man. You got me to this level. And then what I did, dude, I just go into it all the time. Like, I don't listen to anything negative. I always want to grow. I always listen to stuff. The only thing, the negative thing I listen to is the news and all Pizzagate and all that stuff too. By the way, I'm in an engagement group, and the guy's like, yeah, we post a pizza when we do a post. And I sent a message. It's like, hey, man, I'm not going to join that in the pizza again. And I sent him, he's like, holy shoot. So he's like, hey, everybody, we changed the emoji to a car now for things. And then I sent him Pizzagate in a nutshell, which also got being taken away. This might get taken down. This part is what I say because I like to flirt with everything. It got taken down on YouTube again. So they just reposted someone else from another channel.
Well, yeah, that's a whole nother topic. So I will say this as we wrap up, because this has been a long one. Thank you once again for teaching me everything. I'm going to get better. And dude, this year is going to be the most uncomfortable year I've had in a very, very long time. And because of it, I'm going to grow. Because of it, I'm going to look in the mirror and say, this sucks, but you're going to get better. And because of that, I have you to thank.
But don't even say, like, for self-talk, don't even say this sucks. Be like, because then even when I say this sucks, dude, like, it makes me not do it. Like, figure out something else and maybe I'm not gonna tell you what's done.
I'm with you, and I meant like internally. I would say, I wouldn't say it out loud myself. And what I mean by that is, I know it's gonna suck. I know it's gonna be bad, but I also know the reward is gonna be, or the potential reward. So all we're doing is selling ourselves. When we break out of our comfort zone, we are selling ourselves that the reward is gonna be greater than the feeling of pain. That's it. Like, well, it's got to be better, right? And a lot of times what happens is entrepreneurs are so crazy, it's not. It's 10 times worse. But they keep pushing through to the point where they can get to the point where it's a million times better, you know?
If you can get anything you want in life, you can never give up. And even if you don't get what that maybe is, what you become in the pursuit of that will give you the confidence to do something else. And it's that true. Elon Musk is living proof of it. He's the one who says, man, starting a business is like eating glass and staring in the abyss. You know, he's like, it sucks, man. You know, you have all these visions for it. There's a lot of stuff into it. That's why it's cool with Changing Lives Financial and the Miliary Group and everything. The way that's formed, dude, trust me, dude. I did a software business, dude, and you know that's why I promote Fans Plan a lot, because I give a lot of kudos to this kid because I know how hard it is. You know, I definitely know the challenges of business. I'm not a successful businessman. I'm a successful money guy. I'm definitely good at making money. I'm definitely good at sales. People make money around me. I've had plenty of testimonies, and that makes me fulfilled. But like, would I call myself a successful businessman? Absolutely not. I can't wait till I have employees, people on a payroll, and can benefit from the PPP, you know. And we'll get there. I want to get there fast so bad. Dude, by the way, when are you around to look at that property?
Tuesday or Wednesday.
All right, I'm gonna text them tomorrow. It's too late now, so.
Yeah. All right. Anything you want to say? Where can people find you?
Yeah, Jeff the Entrepreneur, Instagram, jeffjcunningham.com. Inspired as always. Dude, everybody, man, I'm making that popular, and the site doesn't even work. jeffscoaching.com for monthly sessions. Really, the best way to get a hold of me is on Instagram DM. And then you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. I was supposed to post these on mine, but they're never there. We got to get them on podcasts too, dude, because I'm making money on the Make More Money podcast. Augie Johnson's out there. Make More Money podcast. I called Dana White's office. That's going to be happening soon after the Texas thing. So
that's awesome.
Okay. I'm going to be self-quarantined after Texas for Anthony Jackson. We're going there, which is great because then I can actually finish my course.
Yeah, well, I don't think I can afford to do that, honestly. Listen, if you guys want to find me anywhere, you just Google. I'm doing it right now. I'm trying to do it right now, actually. Josh Lewis Growth. If you search Josh Lewis Growth, what comes up? It's the first thing that comes up. My website, then my book, then my YouTube channel, then my Instagram. It's perfect. Josh Lewis Growth. Google it. See results, 7 steps of growth, how to create progress in your life. You haven't plugged that. I got 7 steps of growth, all about the pitfalls and the steps that it takes to grow and the mindset of growth. Check it out.
Would that be better for the insecure person or the arrogant, or that's actually anybody?
It's good for anybody, man. I tailor it to be good for anybody. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day, your night, and you got power inside you. Take it out. Have a healthy ego.
That was for Jay. Jay used to do that, man, you know?
Yeah.